about the reacting to the past class because I joined this running start, so it means you come into college a week early and you get more of the college feel before everyone else. And at running start, Dr. Hyson did a presentation, and I'm just sitting there during the presentation with my mouth open like, why can't I do it now? Like, I want to start today. Can we do it, please?
You know, you get the syllabus and you look at it, and it says you're going to be spending a couple hours every week going through market data and making decisions based on the information you're given. It seemed pretty straightforward, but the actual scale of it, how sophisticated everything was, you'd probably have close to 1,000 decisions to make, just little inputs here and there. Marketing, do you want to run 5 ads in this area? 7 ads in that area. Do you want to introduce a new model? What feature do you want to select? There's 30 different features you could pick from. So you're actually taking this market data and you're trying to correlate it to decisions within the game.
I had no idea what it was going to be. I mean, you read the description, so you sort of knew what it was about, but you really didn't know what you were anticipating until you got there. Our professor, Dr. Murray, did a real great job of sort of setting the stage for it. But it wasn't until you opened into the program and got the lay of the land that you really knew what you were doing.
So when I saw social media marketing and I could take it as an elective, I jumped right on it, and it made a lot of sense for my career. I know we were going to meet on a weekly basis using the online collaboration software. I know that you were going to have to exchange information via an online platform. So it was very similar to my previous online classes. So that's what I came to expect of Natalie's class.
When I came into St. Joe's, I actually chose Dr. Hyson's Reacting to the Past class as my freshman seminar. And the first day I got there and I said, this is too much, it's too overwhelming, I'm not dressing up as Thomas Jefferson and coming in here and making speeches, so I dropped the class. Lo and behold, 3 years later, I've taken 3 of his reacting courses and I just love it. It's kind of also the reason I changed my major to history.
I actually had taken Dr. Hyson my first year. It was my first history class I took. It was the first year seminar program that they have here. The first history class I ever took at St. Joe's threw me right into the whole process. And I've been trying to get back into one of his classes all 4 years, but it didn't fit my schedule. So I did everything possible my last semester at St. Joe's to make sure I was in this class. And so I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, and that's why I took the class pretty much.
What Natalie did was really structured in a way where we were able to really connect with each other as students and student and professor through different forums, through discussion boards, through the projects that she created. So it was definitely one class that I took online that the networking opportunities were the closest to the traditional classroom.
Dr. Crispin likes to take her notes on an iPad, which gets projected onto the screen, which is a lot of times way easier to read and just follow along with than your teacher writing on one of those doc cams in all blue pen ink, so it just looks like a whole bunch of scribble scrabble. Because what Dr. Crispin's able to do is she narrates, she writes, you write with her, and then she clears the page, goes on, and she can change colors to specify what's important on the page or whatever. So it helps clarify a lot of the information.
I know for Dr. Hyson's class, he completely takes a backseat role when we start the game. So the game that we did was 3 weeks long. The class started with introductory readings leading up to the point in history that we were looking at for the game. And then we did about a week's worth of game prep, which was readings, writing, different assignments, and then we dove right in. You all get assigned different roles as historical figures, and then you have your readings, and then it just kind of starts, and Dr. Hyson sits back. And so that's what's cool about this game is that, all reacting games, is that they could end so differently. There's so many different possible outcomes.
Ours was called a capstone simulation, and it really represented real-life business. We were assigned roles that we put together and really gave you the opportunity to take everything that you have learned and put it in a test environment and work it through and really learn from actual simulation what things to do, what not to do. And the beauty of the game was that it also affected not just what you put into it and what you did, but what your competitors, who were other groups of students, put into the game. So it was a very real life scenario. And so it really gave you the opportunity in a classroom setting to simulate what real life could well be. So excellent opportunity for learning.
The first one I did, we did 3 different games. So you got 3 different cultural perspectives, and you got 3 different roles each time. So one time, like, you might be like a moderate and have to fight for that side. The next time you might be like a radical and have to fight a completely different opinion. You got to see like different perspectives of different people that you wouldn't normally maybe like agree with, and you had to like make a debate for that. And I think just like in general, learning the cultures in a way where it's not just like reading out of a textbook or listening to someone lecture, and like you want to learn more because you want to win. So that's what makes it like different, I think.
It's pretty diverse. I was the youngest in the class, and I think the oldest in our cohort was probably mid-50s. There was an advantage, I think, to probably the younger people in the class that are more technologically advanced. They understand how everything works. But there was still a good level of competition, and you would see that some of the, at least in my class, some of the older people were wheeling and dealing, so they necessarily wouldn't be in touch with the data, but they'd be looking to make deals and moves, and then at the end of it, they run a simulation based on an algorithm, and 15 minutes later, you have pages and pages and pages of game data generated. It's really visual too, so it wasn't just that like you're getting these numbers, but it looked real. It looked like the kind of reports that you get in real life.
You're actively engaged in the game, and whether you are very outspoken outside of class, whatever personality you have, when you're in that scenario, everyone's on the same playing field, and everyone has this role that they become when they get into class, and it gives them a voice that they may not have outside of class or in a different class, which I really liked.
I noticed that a lot of introverts became extroverts and a lot of extroverts became introverts. It allowed the introverts to think and be outgoing without being uncomfortable, and it allowed the extroverts to lay back and relax and let things pan out.
What she's able to do is she makes a quiz, she puts it on Socrative. Everyone has an iPhone or an iPad now. If not, she has like 5. So if you don't have one that day, she gives it to you. And you open the app, and then you put in the room number, and then you have the quiz right there. Like, I think you're able to do like a variety of different things, like polling the classroom for answers, or like attendance quizzes. Anything else you can really do with Socrative, which is more hands-on for the students, more attention grasping.
I think when you're in person, there's a little more of a nervous factor. If you're not willing to speak publicly, or you have some problems with public speaking, you might have some anxiety over it. Being in an online class, you're really not seen by anybody, so you're more willing to go ahead, jump in, and speak. So you have time to think about your answer. You're going to type it out. You may even look up something online before you even respond to something. And once more and more people started to respond, people would start to have discussions based off of their responses, and it was highly interactive with the responses to each other. But I think people are able to put a lot more insight into the discussion boards because of the time they have to write, and then also due to the research.
The game inherently, by the way it's built, really pulls you in as individuals and also as your group, and the competitive edge of it makes it fun. So you don't even really recognize how much you're learning. You get to utilize everything that you've done before, but you really learn to, again, from a real life perspective, learn the curveballs and learn how to deal with them. So very engaging and really pulls you in.
There's a winner and a loser at the end of the game, and so we got very competitive. If you don't do the readings, you really can't participate, and so it becomes something that you want to do because you want your speech to be convincing, and you want your classmates to believe what you're saying, and you can't do that without the support.
We did the French Revolution game, and I was the King Louis. So out of class, I was like going behind the Jacobins' back to try to get people who didn't really have an opinion on my side. So in class, I had to be very quiet and composed, but it requires a lot of outclass work and thinking outside the box of way to convince people and get them on your side.
You don't give a homeless person money unless it's your idea. And so I feel like that translates into the classroom. You don't really learn unless it's your idea, unless you're fully invested in what you're learning. And unless you think, oh my goodness, I want to know this for me, not I want to know this for the test.
It puts you like right in there, in the material, in the culture, in the time period. So you're living this and you're understanding it in a different way than you would if you were just reading it, as a student.
It was learning things, and then there was also a lot of strategic things that we did, trying to form partnerships. So I really feel like the competitive nature pushed the level of learning to a lot higher than we would have had, if it was just a traditional class setting.
That was the only class in which I knew everybody's first and last name, where they lived, their majors, and where they came from. I don't know anyone else in my other classes. I just know my reaction to the past friends, and we're still friends today. So it creates a bond between people.
I had a joke with a few of my friends is reacting games ruin friendships because when you're on one side and your friends on the other side, you're going at it. That's what kind of exemplifies the motivation and the engagement, and then afterwards understanding that we're all involved in this game. We all want to learn and to be engaged in the course.
I'm more of a hands-on visual learner. She gave us all her notes all the time. You could get them off Blackboard. So if I needed to look something over, I wouldn't have to rely on my own notes copied from like a whiteboard. I could get the teacher's notes and look at those like from her own perspective.
She sent out a digital newsletter every week to us, and I think she still does it. It's called Digital Marketing Weekly, where she curates content from throughout the web about social media topics and what social media is doing in the world. It's the first time I've ever seen that, and I thought it was great. It really opened up your eyes to what the world of social media looks like from different venues, whether it be food, sports. I mean, it came across everything.
Throughout the game, there is a real need to keep up with the information and contribute actively. And that's what makes the game a success.
We were under the rule of an emperor, and we were supposed to be using Confucius to explain everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, what does Confucius say about this? What does Confucius say about this? And I'm saying it in class, and then the next thing I know, I'm out of class, and I'm still saying it. So it sticks with you a lot more than if you're in a lecture. And it's a new take on education, and I really like it.
I think the online MBA is a great way to really further your education. It's worked out really well for me during high travel times for myself when it comes to my job. I'm able to sign on from the hotel room or whatever city I'm in, and it works out really, really well. I think when we speak specifically about Natalie's class, I would suggest it to anybody.
She's very personable, and the technology makes it really easy to learn, too. She's a great teacher. I recommend it.
I mean, that was the best part of my week. Every time I went to that class, it was like, never wanted to go to the other ones. Like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I can make it because it's so much fun.
It is an opportunity to really make decisions, if you will, that will have real impact, and then furthermore have the opportunity to see where that leads you. So you can make mistakes, and while they may be costly in the game, they will save you in real life.
Oh, it definitely sticks more just because you're kind of living it. Like, we built our own firm, so like everything that happened to them, like we internalized that, and we when we got beaten a certain way, we remembered why it was, and it was usually because of a business concept. So personalizing like that, I think made it. We definitely retain more information.
It makes learning like really fun because you get to be in there with all of your classmates instead of like being disconnected from everyone around you. You're all connected in like a common goal or trying to like prove a point. And I just think that you retain the information so much more because you're like living it and you're in that situation. So it's I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it's the best class I ever had.